First contact turns to horror. The emergence of the Empire. The Zeltrax Empire had ruled the stars for centuries. Their warships crushed entire civilizations. Their fleets spread fear across the galaxy. To them, humans were nothing, just another primitive race, weak and unworthy of space travel. For years, the Galactic Council had debated whether humanity should be accepted as an official spacefaring civilization. The answer was always the same: laughter and mockery. Humans, a species from a single planet. They are like insects, one alien ambassador had scoffed. The Zeltrax High Commander, Lord Xavos, sat in his throne, surrounded by his top generals. A large holographic display showed images of Earth's outdated ships, rusty, slow, and nothing compared to the sleek, deadly warships of the Empire. They call these warships. Xavos chuckled. They are barely more than floating scrap metal. The room filled with cruel laughter. The Zeltrax believed they were invincible. They had crushed empires, destroyed worlds, and enslaved species far stronger than humans. One of his officers, General Korvac, smirked. The humans actually think they can stand against us. They have sent a message rejecting our demand for surrender. The council laughed again, but Saigo's eyes gleamed with amusement. Then we shall teach them their place. The invasion begins. The Zeltrax fleet launched from their homeworld, a vast armada of warships moving like a storm through the void. Hundreds of battleships, each larger than a city, led the charge. Their destination, Earth. Within days, their ships arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Humanity's defenses looked laughable, a handful of outdated ships standing against an empire. The Zeltrax didn't even raise their shields. There was no need. A transmission was sent to Earth, a final warning. This is High Commander Xavos of the Zeltrax Empire. The deep, arrogant voice echoed through every human military station. You have one last chance to surrender. Kneel before the Empire, or be erased from history. The message ended. The Zeltrax waited. They expected fear, panic, desperate pleas for mercy. But humanity's response was simple. A single transmission came through. Come and take it. The Zeltrax officers blinked in surprise. The room fell silent. Then, Xavos grinned. Foolish, he muttered. Destroy them. A warship unlike any other. The Zeltrax ships advanced, moving toward Earth at terrifying speed. The first wave of battleships prepared to fire. And then, it appeared. A lone warship emerged from the darkness of space, directly in the path of the Zeltrax fleet. It was unlike any human ship they had seen before. Sleek, dark, massive. The UHS Vengeance. The alien officers frowned. What is this? One muttered. Scan it, Korvac ordered. But the moment their systems tried to analyze the ship, something went wrong. Their computers glitched. Data screens flickered. The warship's energy readings were unreadable. Xavos narrowed his eyes. Fire. The Zeltrax warships unleashed hell. Plasma beams, torpedoes, and laser blasts filled the void, heading straight for the lone human vessel. And then, the impossible happened. Every single shot vanished before impact. Terror in the Empire. The control room filled with confused shouting. The Zeltrax had never seen technology like this. Where did our shots go? One officer gasped. Korvac stared at the screen, sweat forming on his scaled forehead. It bent space-time. Our weapons never reached it. Before the Zeltrax could react, the UHS Vengeance fired back. A single shot. It wasn't a laser. It wasn't a torpedo. It was something else entirely. A silent ripple spread through space, twisting reality itself. It hit a Zeltrax battleship directly. The massive alien warship, one of the largest in the fleet, vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Silence fell across the Zeltrax command ship. For the first time in history, the Empire felt fear. Xavos' face lost its smugness. His claws gripped his throne. What? What is this? The Vengeance vanished from their radars, as if it had never existed. The once mocking aliens were now terrified, scanning the void, searching desperately for the ship that had just erased one of their strongest warships in an instant. And then, a final message came through from the humans. You laughed at us. Now run. / The unseen threat. The Zeltrax fleet remained frozen in space, their sensors desperately searching for the UHS Vengeance. High Commander Exivos clenched his fists. His empire had conquered dozens of species. His warships had never lost a battle. And yet, in a single moment, one of his finest battleships had been erased, as if it had never existed. The bridge was filled with silence. Fear. General Korvac gulped, staring at his command screen. Sir, our scans still can't find the human warship. It's as if. He hesitated. Exivos glared. As if what, Korvac? As if it's not bound by normal space. The High Commander's eyes burned with rage. Impossible. Humans don't have this kind of technology. But they did. And now, the Empire was at war with something it didn't understand. A hunter in the dark. Far beyond the Zeltrax fleet, hidden deep within the void of space, Captain Elias Carter of the UHS Vengeance watched his enemies in silence. His ship's advanced cloaking field kept them invisible, not just to sensors, but to reality itself. They weren't hiding. They were phasing between dimensions. Elias smiled. They were finally ready. For too long, humanity had been looked down upon, laughed at, ignored. The Galactic Council treated them like pests, but they never understood what made humans different. Survival. Unlike other races, humanity had evolved through war, hardship, and desperation. The moment they entered the stars, they knew one thing. They could never afford to be weak. The Vengeance was the result of years of secret research, an experimental warship built using salvaged alien technology found in deep space. The Zeltrax thought they were predators. They thought humans were prey. They were wrong. Now, humanity was the hunter. The counterattack begins. Elias activated the comms. Target locked. Fire at will. The Vengeance reappeared for only a second, just enough time to unleash a barrage of high-energy disruptor rounds. Zeltrax warships exploded instantly, their shields unable to withstand the unknown weaponry. Panic spread through the fleet. They had never seen a human ship move like this. It's behind us. No, it's gone again. What is this technology? The High Commander's rage turned to terror as more of his warships vanished into nothingness. Exivos slammed his fist on the control panel. Retreat. Fall back to the Empire. But it was already too late. Humanity's message to the galaxy. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like wildfire. For centuries, the Zeltrax had been the most feared empire in the stars. No species had ever challenged them. But now, a new power had emerged. A species they had mocked. A species they had underestimated. Humanity. And their warship, the UHS Vengeance, had just rewritten the rules of war. The Galactic Council no longer laughed at humans. Now, they feared them. And it was only the beginning. First strike. Fear spreads across the stars. The Zeltrax fleet, once an unstoppable force, was now a battlefield of burning wreckage. Explosions lit up the void, the remains of destroyed warships drifting lifelessly. High Commander Exivos had never felt fear before. But now, as his fleet was systematically torn apart, his cold-blooded heart pounded in his chest. This wasn't war. This was a massacre. The UHS Vengeance had appeared and disappeared at will, striking like a phantom from the dark. Each attack erased entire warships in seconds. His officers shouted in panic. We can't track them. Our targeting systems are useless. They're jamming our sensors. We're blind. Half the fleet is gone, sir. We need to retreat. Exivos slammed his fist against the command console. His species had ruled the stars for centuries, never knowing what it meant to lose. But now, in the face of humanity's unstoppable war machine, he realized the truth. The Zeltrax were no longer the predators. They were prey, a terrifying weapon. Far away from the chaos, Captain Elias Carter stood on the bridge of the UHS Vengeance, arms crossed. The enemy was breaking, just as he had planned. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah Hayes, watched the battle unfold on the main display. "They're scattering, sir," she said. "What are your orders?" Elias's eyes narrowed. "No survivors. We send a message today." The Vengeance shifted, targeting the Zeltrax flagship, the Warbringer, Stivos's personal command vessel. Elias tapped a button. Charge the Gravlance. At the heart of the Vengeance, a massive weapon hummed to life. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, a fusion of human ingenuity and alien technology recovered from a lost civilization, a weapon that could bend gravity itself. Sarah hesitated. "Sir, if we fire, the entire flagship will." Elias didn't let her finish. "Do it." The fall of the Warbringer. On the Zeltrax flagship, alarms blared. Officers scrambled in panic, trying desperately to escape. Stivos sat frozen in his command chair. He had never known true terror, until now. A lance of white energy burst from the Vengeance, striking the Warbringer dead center. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, the flagship began to collapse in on itself. The Gravlance ripped apart the ship at a molecular level, twisting metal, crushing bulkheads, and pulling entire sections into a gravitational implosion. The mighty Warbringer, the pride of the Zeltrax Empire, was reduced to nothing. Stivos's final scream never left his throat, because his body, along with his ship, ceased to exist. The retreat. A broken empire. The remaining Zeltrax warships saw their leader fall. Fear overwhelmed them. Their ships turned and fled, engines burning at full power. They no longer cared about honor, victory, or conquest. They only cared about survival. For the first time in history, the Zeltrax Empire was running. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Elias Carter exhaled. And so falls an empire. Sarah smiled. "What now, sir?" Elias turned toward the star map. The Zeltrax homeworld lay ahead, deep in the heart of their empire. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't done yet. This was just the beginning. The first strike, humanity's wrath. The Zeltrax Empire, once feared across the stars, had just suffered its greatest defeat. Their mighty fleet, which had arrived at Earth with arrogance and laughter, had been reduced to wreckage and silence. And now humanity was striking back. A desperate retreat. The survivors of the Zeltrax fleet fled through hyperspace, their ships damaged, their minds filled with terror. General Korvac, now the highest-ranking officer left alive, stared blankly at the ruins of his fleet from his damaged cruiser. His claws trembled as he watched his battle logs, recordings of the UHS Vengeance, a warship that appeared from nowhere, erased ships in an instant, and vanished without a trace. This wasn't just a loss. This was a message. "General," a shaken officer called out, "our spies report that the humans are pursuing us." Korvac's blood ran cold. No one had ever dared chase the Zeltrax back to their own empire. But humanity was different. They weren't just defending their world. They were coming for vengeance. The hunt begins. Deep in the void of space, the UHS Vengeance was silent, a hunter waiting for its prey. Captain Elias Carter watched the tactical display. The Zeltrax fleet was retreating, their warships limping home. Sarah Hayes, his second-in-command, crossed her arms. "Sir, our orders were to defend Earth. Now we're hunting them." Elias's eyes were cold and unyielding. "They didn't come to talk. They came to wipe us out. If we let them recover, they'll return, stronger, smarter." He turned to his crew. "We finish this war before it begins." The crew nodded. They all knew the truth. Humanity had only one chance to prove itself. This war wouldn't end with Earth's survival. It would end with the Zeltrax Empire's submission. Elias gave the order. Prepare to strike. The ambush. The tables have turned. The Zeltrax fleet approached their nearest fortress world, Xanthar 7, a massive military stronghold surrounded by defensive platforms, ion cannons, and planetary shields. Korvac sighed in relief as he watched the station's massive turrets power up, locking onto the human fleet, or at least where they thought the human fleet was. He activated his communicator. To all Zeltrax forces, prepare to eliminate the human vessel. Silence. Then, boom! A shockwave rippled through space. The fortress station's largest weapons exploded before they could fire. Korvac's eyes widened in horror. Where did that come from? The answer came too late. The UHS Vengeance decloaked in the heart of the battlefield, unleashing a devastating barrage of gravity-based weapons. Zeltrax cruisers collapsed in on themselves, ripped apart by gravitational distortions. Missiles were hacked mid-flight, turning back toward their own ships. The Vengeance wasn't just a warship. It was a force of nature, the breaking point. Xanthar 7 was supposed to be impenetrable. The Zeltrax generals watched in horror as the humans ripped through their defenses. Panic spread through the command center. We can't stop them. Where are they? Our sensors can't track them. General Korvac's breathing was heavy. His mind raced. This couldn't be happening. But it was. Humanity, the race they once mocked, had done the impossible. They had shattered the illusion of Zeltrax supremacy. Korvac had only one option left. He activated a distress beacon, one that would send a message directly to the Zeltrax homeworld. This is General Korvac. We are under attack. The humans have new technology. We cannot stop them. Requesting immediate reinforcement. But there was no response. Because far across the galaxy, Zeltrax High Command was already in chaos. The Galactic Council had received the battle reports. And for the first time in history, the great empires of the galaxy were afraid. Because now, they all knew one terrifying truth. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were the new apex predator. Fear spreads across the stars. The Zeltrax homeworld, Zelnar Prime, was a planet of endless steel and towering spires, the heart of an empire that had ruled the galaxy with unmatched brutality. For centuries, no enemy had ever dared bring war to their doorstep. Until now. Panic at high command. Deep within the Imperial War Council, Zeltrax leaders gathered in a grand chamber, the air thick with tension. Massive holo-displays projected battle footage, recordings of their fleet being annihilated by a single human warship. The High Chancellor, Vorex Thal, stared at the images in disbelief. One ship, one human ship has done all this. A trembling officer stepped forward. Chancellor, it's not just a ship. It's a weapon beyond our understanding. The council erupted into shouted arguments. It defies physics. How did they develop this technology? We should have wiped them out decades ago. Vorex's voice cut through the noise. Enough. We need solutions, not panic. Asterisk, asterisk. Silence fell. Then a new report came in. Chancellor, the humans are no longer in pursuit. They're advancing. Straight for us. The room froze. The humans weren't just retaliating. They were coming to finish the war. The final stand at Zelnar Prime. Across the Zeltrax Empire, fear spread like wildfire. Once loyal vassal races began abandoning their posts, unwilling to face the wrath of humanity. But on Zelnar Prime, the Empire prepared for its last stand. Massive planetary shields activated, covering the entire world in a protective barrier. Thousands of warships, the remaining might of the Zeltrax, formed a defensive perimeter. Every turret, every ion cannon, every orbital platform was locked onto one point in space, the place where the UHS Vengeance would arrive. And then, it came. The Vengeance arrives. A rift in space rippled open. The UHS Vengeance emerged from the void, alone. A single ship. Against an entire empire. The Zeltrax laughed no longer. Fire. Fire everything. A storm of plasma, missiles, and energy lances filled the void, all aimed at the lone warship. And yet, not a single shot landed. The Vengeance shifted between dimensions, slipping through folded space, bypassing every defense, as if it didn't exist in this reality. The fear in the Zeltrax fleet turned to pure terror. This is impossible. What kind of demons are they? And then, the human warship fired back. The Empire falls. The Vengeance's main cannon unleashed a pulse of gravitational energy, striking the planet's shield. The entire defense grid flickered, then collapsed. The human warship descended into the atmosphere, hovering above the Imperial Palace, its presence alone bringing the mighty Empire to its knees. A single message was broadcast across the Zeltrax homeworld, repeating on every channel. Surrender or be erased. In the war chamber, Chancellor Vorax watched in horror. This wasn't a war. It was an execution. The once proud empire, which had laughed at humanity, now begged for mercy. And humanity. Humanity gave none. The fall of arrogance. The Zeltrax Empire had once stood unchallenged, feared by all who gazed upon the stars. Now their homeworld burned. The UHS Vengeance hovered over the capital city, casting an ominous shadow over the once mighty throne of the Empire. The streets were silent. No more roars of victory, no more parades of conquest. Only fear remained, a desperate last stand. Inside the Imperial War Council, panic had reached its peak. The few remaining Zeltrax generals gathered, their scales slick with cold sweat. They had thrown everything at the humans, fleets, planetary defenses, superweapons, and nothing had worked. Yet, one last weapon remained. A commander slammed his clawed fist on the table. We must activate the Oblivion Cannon. The room fell silent. The Oblivion Cannon was their most powerful weapon, capable of ripping apart entire star systems. It was forbidden, meant only as a last resort. But this was the end of the Empire. With shaking hands, Chancellor Vorax Thal nodded. Do it. The command was given. The last mistake. Deep beneath the capital, a massive cannon hummed to life. Energy gathered, crackling like lightning as the weapon charged for its final shot. One powerful enough to destroy the entire solar system. And yet, just as the cannon reached full power, alarms blared across the command center. Systems failure detected. The Zeltrax engineers stared at their screens in horror. The cannon had been hacked. A voice crackled through the loudspeakers, cold and calm. We knew you'd try this. We were already inside your systems. It was humanity. The Oblivion Cannon turned on its own power source. A single flash of white light erupted from the capital's depths, and then, boom! The blast tore through the city, a chain reaction obliterating the Empire's entire war council. The mighty Zeltrax Empire had just destroyed itself. The Empire kneels. Across the planet, the surviving Zeltrax citizens watched in horror. Their rulers were dead. Their weapons were useless. And above them, the UHS Vengeance remained, silent and waiting. A transmission flickered onto every screen across the Zeltrax homeworld. A human officer stood before them, arms crossed, expression unyielding. This is Captain Elias Carter of the Terran Defense Force. Your empire is over. Your fleets are dust. Your leaders are gone. His voice was calm, but merciless. You have one choice, surrender or vanish from history. There was no debate. There was no resistance. The once mighty Zeltrax Empire, the most feared force in the galaxy, knelt before humanity. And in that moment, the galaxy changed forever. The new galactic order. The Zeltrax Empire, once feared and unstoppable, had fallen in a single war. Its fleets destroyed, its warlords dead, its homeworld under human control. And across the galaxy, every empire, every species, every civilization watched in stunned silence. Because now, humanity ruled the stars. The Treaty of Surrender. On the surface of Zelmar Prime, where once mighty emperors had stood, a new scene unfolded. At the heart of the ruined capital, a gathering took place. The last surviving Zeltrax officials, their arrogance shattered, stood before a delegation of human officers, led by Captain Elias Carter. A document was placed before them, a treaty of unconditional surrender. "Sign it," Elias said. The Zeltrax chancellor, a once proud ruler, trembled as he lifted his clawed hand. His people watched, their pride broken, their future uncertain. With a heavy breath, he pressed his seal onto the document. The Zeltrax Empire was no more. Humanity had rewritten history, fear and respect across the stars. As news of the surrender spread, the great empires of the galaxy held emergency meetings. The same species that had mocked humanity now feared them. The Galactic Council, once the stage for alien politicians who had laughed at Earth's struggle for recognition, was now silent. They had dismissed humans as weak. They had underestimated what happens when humanity is pushed too far. Now they faced a choice: ally with the new power in the galaxy or risk extinction. Humanity's message to the galaxy. On a universal broadcast, Elias Carter spoke to the entire galaxy. His voice was calm, firm, undeniable. Humanity asked for peace. You gave us war. You mocked us. You invaded us. You tried to erase us. His eyes burned with the fire of a species that had fought for survival since the dawn of time. And now you will never laugh at humanity again. The message was clear. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not as victims, not as a minor race, but as the new dominant power in the galaxy. And the stars would never be the same again. The UHS Vengeance. A legend is born. The UHS Vengeance returned to Earth, not just as a warship, but as a legend. The ship that had turned the tide of history. The ship that had toppled an empire. Its name would be remembered for centuries. Stories would be told, songs would be sung, and entire generations would be raised knowing that humanity had done the impossible. No longer weak, no longer underestimated. Humanity had claimed the stars. And if any other empire dared to threaten them again, they would learn the same lesson the Zeltrax had. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Humanity wins.